I'm Kate Kunkel, a brain health coach and trainer. I'm also the founder of Brain Health Matters, a series of courses, programs, and video events just like this, all designed to help you become healthier so your brain can become happier and stronger. And Youhjung Son is a board certified art therapist, artist, and content creator for the YouTube channel and podcast Thirsty for Art. Youhjung is passionate about bringing therapeutic art making to the everyday person and using art as a healing tool to express and understand yourself. She's here to spread awareness about art therapy and encourages people to pick up their paintbrushes and create without judgment. Welcome, my dear.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Kate.
Oh, I'm excited. I was just mentioning in our talk before we went live is that I'm a stalker. I just love your website. I hang out there quite a bit and imagine myself actually being able to paint something that looks like something. But art therapy, we're here to talk about art therapy in the brain. And art therapy, that's not about creating a beautiful piece of art for others to watch, to look at, right?
Yes, you are correct, Kate. I think that a lot of people kind of confuse what art therapy is and what it's not. So if I may have permission to talk a little bit about that.
Oh,
Um,
please.
yeah, so basically art therapy is like therapy plus art making. Um, so I know there are lots of kind of different definitions out there, but I believe the essence of art therapy is basically art making to express how you feel and understand yourself from that process of creating with the guide of an art therapist. And art therapy definitely helps with so many different things, and it's really good for your brain health too. And we can talk a little bit more about that as we go, but yeah.
Please, yes. So it's not about just the visual appearance of what
Mhm.
we're making. It's so much deeper than that, yes?
Yeah, so it's not about the results. It's not about the product that you create at the end of the day. It's more about the process of creating, process of putting colors down, putting lines down, process of sensing with your fingers what that clay feels like, forming it, and kind of expressing your feelings through that visual medium of art. So that's the important part of art therapy. And we don't really focus too much on the quality of the artwork. Actually, we don't focus on that at all.
Good.
Because a lot of art therapists, we often say to clients that, yeah, you don't need any art skills, you don't need any previous knowledge or even training in art therapy. If you're open and willing to give this a try, this will benefit you, this will help you out. So
Well,
that's what we
and
say.
yeah, of course. But isn't that, I guess that's kind of true of any kind of therapy. Like if you're in there to
Mhm.
get help, then you're letting go a
Right.
little bit.
Yeah, that's so true. I think you have to be a little bit like open and willing to try things, willing to open up, um, rather than trying to prove anything, right? Rather than sticking too hard on one thing, but kind of opening up possibilities as to where you can go, what can happen, right? We do therapy to gain new insight, gain better understanding of ourselves and other people, and find new ways to be in this world, I think. So it's the same for our therapy.
Sure, sure. So, one of the things that I like to do, and I have many books of them, is just coloring books.
Mhm.
Is that a kind of art therapy?
So coloring books are one tool. So it's like a one modality, just like markers or just like paint or
Ah,
acrylic paint might be another art tool, right? So coloring books is a art tool, but in and of itself, it wouldn't be considered as art therapy because art therapy is the process that you go through, right? Of
ah,
creating and expressing yourself with the guide of an art therapist who's there to hold the space, guide you, give you the things that you need, talk things through, process things together. So I would say just in and of itself, coloring books would be missing the crucial
Ah.
elements that you need for art therapy to happen. Yeah.
Sure. I understand that. So like right now, I hold programs for brain health, and I could package these and put them in a course, but it's just a course. It's not a program. There's no coaching involved unless I'm there to kind of guide people. And I think when you just said that about the art therapy, that makes so much sense tying it into that, because we can color all day, but if we're thinking of other things when we're coloring, it's not really all that therapeutic, right? If you're doing it while you're watching
Yeah.
TV, it's not the same thing as when you've got someone talking
True.
about why you chose those colors, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is true that coloring books are really helpful and beneficial for a lot of people. But I also heard as an art therapist, like from clients and also they're just friends and family near me, that, coloring books can be also stressful at the same time for some people. It is because it might feel like there's too much pressure to color inside the lines, or some
Ah,
people who are more like anxiety prone in that kind of way, it might add some stress to that person instead
wow,
of coloring books being more relaxing, which can definitely be for a lot of people. So it
right.
depends on how you use it, depends on how the person is, they're
Ah.
kind of like where they're at in life or where they're at, mentally as and emotionally as well. So
That
yeah,
makes
it's
so much sense, because yeah, if you have to, if you've got teeny little spaces and you're a little bit OCD and you have to stay
Mhm.
right inside the lines, then I can see how that could be stressful. I never thought about that until you
Mhm.
just said that. Thank you. Really
Yeah.
something to think about. Now, what about
Mhm.
mandalas? Because I love making mandalas. Like I just
Mhm.
create them, like even with just bowls and cups, and I'll just make some circles and see what happens. Would you consider
Yeah.
but they're just a tool as well, yes?
True, true. So it is one of the tools or structures that you can use, just like a square paper is like a structure you can use to make art. But I do believe that mandalas have a specific and unique benefit to it if you use it. Mandala in and of itself is like a circle, right?
Right.
And I think that circles serve as a very powerful symbol in our psyches, and also it that shape especially gives us the feeling of fullness and oneness and connection and connectedness. And I know that I don't know if you know Carl Jung.
Oh, yes.
He's psychiatrist, and he used to use a lot of that structure, the circular mandala structure, for his own artwork and for his work with his clients as well, because that he believed that circle helps us to integrate parts of ourselves that we don't acknowledge or we're not aware of, or maybe we resist. So there is something kind of powerful about the structure of a circle in mandala. So I
Ah,
think that is very unique in its effect. And I myself use mandalas a lot. Yeah, just like you do, like using that
ah,
circle just as a base for me to just kind of put things inside the circle.
oh dear.
Yeah, yeah. So the do we leave off from Carl Jung, or
Yeah, with
should
just
I
after
start from the beginning?
you were explaining just how the circles themselves. So we you got through Jung using them,
Mm.
but how the circle
Ah,
itself. Yeah.
yeah. So the circle itself, I think, has a very symbolic meaning to us humans, kind of universally. And but also it's very powerful in its effect in our psyche, and I think emotionally as well when we look at it. So so that I think it has a very unique effect, and that's one of the reasons why I myself use the mandala or the circle format a lot,
Interesting.
just to do what you do, right? Like put things inside the circle, maybe put some colors, see what comes out. And I
Yeah.
definitely think that it's one of the activities that people can try for themselves too.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I really enjoy them. So, how does art therapy then, if we're getting into this space, how would it help the brain? So one of the things I teach is the
Mhm.
importance of nurturing a creative self. So that would probably be part of it. But is there anything that actually happens in the brain when we do these practices?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we definitely need more research on this, like how art therapy specifically affects our brain. But so far, what we know is that recently, actually, we found that like memories are, I don't know if you also know this, but memories are most often stored in our bodies as images
Yes,
and actually sensory information. It's not like words are stored in our brain, right? It's
right.
more like images, visual images, and sensory information. So that's the case for most of us. And so when we want to work with memories, to recall them or to process them, to reframe our memories, to gain new meaning, maybe if you want to do that, then we want to access those memories in the memories language,
Oh.
which is images and sensory information. So that's what I think that's why one of the reasons why art therapy can be really powerful because it can access those visual memories, those images and sensory information almost directly, right? We're working with
Hmm.
images in art therapy. So that's how like art therapy can work with memories in a body specifically, but also I think art therapy really deals with a lot of our cognitive functions in our brain. So like it can really enhance our problem solving skills, decision making skills, even sequencing, planning things like executive function stuff. And I've heard that drawing, this is based on research, but drawing also improves children's the exact abilities that I just shared with you,
Yes.
like the problem solving skills, planning, decision making, things like that.
Ye-
Also, it's really good for people who are also aging as well. So as we get older, we lose some memory, right? And we lose like brain mass and also the blood flow to our brain, which kind of decreases our functioning, brain functioning. So when we make art, actually, it really helps us heighten those mental functions. So it counteracts memory loss, actually, and prevents us forgetting words or actually speeds up processing, which actually slows down as we age. So really great for people who are also aging. But I think that maybe the most kind of maybe important or maybe what I think is like essential about art therapy is like art really activates both part of our
Mm.
both hemispheres of our brain, not just the functions of the left brain or the functions of the right brain, but both at the same time because it uses our imagination, it uses our intuition, it uses our senses and emotions, but also we have to plan things out when we make art. We have to also talk about our artwork, especially in art therapy, right? And so we use those two things, two sides of our brain, or the functions of those two hemispheres at the same time. So like some people are more like really logic focused, but then they lose that creative part of
Yeah.
themselves. And so I think that art can really be a balancing kind of way. So
I
yeah,
agree
I
with
hope
you there.
I'm streaming okay right now.
Yeah, you came back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the important thing
Okay.
for us to remember is that and it's the same with music, right? Because I teach music as a
Mm,
therapy, a harp especially, but we're using both sides of the brain. And people
mm,
with artistic strengths or talents or use it, they actually have a thicker corpus callosum, which is the part of the brain
mm,
that connects the two hemispheres. So we're
mhm,
actually nurturing the physical growth and health of that part of our brain that connects the hemispheres. So I can actually
mm.
see now that you mention it that way, that art would make a good would do exactly the same thing as music does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What so people like people who are watching this is really important information because we often think that we have to firstly be artists to do art, which obviously she says is not the case, but how it helps our brains so much no matter what we do. So let's go back to you said about squares. One of the things I used to teach when we had retreats here was Zen tangles. So
Mm.
when you take a piece of square paper and it has supposed to have special dimensions and you build things within that, that to me would probably be a really cool way to get both hemispheres going.
Yes, yes, definitely. A lot of drawing, a lot of painting, actually certain types of activities and certain types of materials you use actually activate certain functions of the brain more than the others. So
Oh,
depends on, so our therapists kind of like think of, or when they plan therapy sessions, like they think of it, where the client is at and where they might need work. And then the art therapist introduces certain processes or materials to kind of target certain needs and goals that the client has. So for example, the drawing, yeah, the Zentangle will be um, great for certain functions of the brain.
sure.
But especially for Zentangle, it would be really good in terms of kind of controlling emotions or managing emotions. It's easier for people to approach. So definitely that can be like a gateway drug in a way, right? Like an
Sure,
opening
sure. It's a
door
gateway.
to,
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah,
an
because
easy
it's so
kind of,
structured. If you're
yes,
tend to be a structured person, it really helps. I
right.
found that a
It
lot,
does.
especially with my CO my kind of closed down harpists. I would have them use the Zentangles just so that they'd stop being so closed down and they'd feel freer
Mm.
to be a little bit more creative. And it was something that I wasn't afraid to do because I'm a
Yeah.
math person too. So what I'm just going to go back and go back. What's the best exercise? You mentioned in your notes to me that there's a simple exercise people can do at home. Could you guide us through something like that now?
Sure, sure. Well, this might
Oh no, you
um
okay.
okay, so this might require people to get some materials, but you guys anybody who's listening here can write this down, maybe jot it down on a notebook and then come back to it whenever you have all the materials ready. So it's not complicated, it's a simple exercise that you can do, and that is a magazine collage of a problem or maybe just where you are at right now in life. So magazine collage, how you do it is you just gather some magazines that you have that you don't mind cutting up. So old magazines can do well. I know some libraries donate old magazines, things like that, so they're pretty accessible. So you just collect some print images, that's okay. And you would just pick and choose words and images in the magazine that kind of speaks to you in terms of where you are at in life right now. So how you're feeling, or maybe if it's a certain problem. Choosing images or words that kind of connect to that problem. And you would just cut and paste those on a piece of paper. Um, it doesn't have to be big. It can be a little bit larger than maybe a letter size paper. And you don't have to make it special. You can just, lay it out whatever way you want to, and then paste it there. And this is a really great activity, and I really recommend to people because it gives really great structure for people. And also, it's simple to do, not a lot of materials, just magazines and
Right.
glue and scissors. And then second is that it's a really great way to connect with ourselves and connect with our emotions and also express them on paper without requiring special skills like drawing, right?
Right.
Drawing can definitely require some skills on ourselves, especially when we're trying to represent realistic things, right? So when we use collage, we're not drawing at all. We're not using pencils.
Right.
We're not really demonstrating any specific skills. So it's easy to do. It's very approachable. We're just
Makes
using whatever's available. So I find it is a really good introductory art exercise people can do at home.
perfect. Oh, when I put the show notes up, I'll make sure I write to people and say, get some old magazines and some scissors and have some fun with this.
Hmm.
This has been wonderful. Tell us how people can get in touch with you because I would I might even do an art therapy class. I might do something. I just feel that this is
Yeah.
something that a lot of people need to do. How can people reach you to learn more?
Yeah, so people can reach me on my website, thirstyforart.com. And actually, I am opening up a new therapeutic art making group online. So I'm so excited for that. You can sign up on my website, thirstyforart.com. You'll see it on my homepage, but it's like online art making, gathering people, and we have an art therapist facilitator who's gonna help people, make art, and you don't need any skills, as I said before.
Oh,
um, yeah,
that's
and
perfect. That's just what a wonderful thing to do. Okay, so thirstyforart.com. I'll also
mhm.
have that on the show notes, and when I edit, it'll be on there. Thank you, my dear, so much for joining us and for sharing your wisdom. And I hope you've inspired lots of people to get out of themselves and just enjoy the process. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Enjoy the process. Thank you, Kate, for having me. This was really wonderful.
You're very welcome. Take good care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.